Leon. I came downstairs and noticed that there was a shiny material on the floor close to the entrance. I went there and picked it up. It was a bracelet. Must belong to Rosa. I sat down on the cushion and dropped the bracelet on the table. I brought out my phone and went through the pictures of our newly acquired cars. I'm going to choose mine first, then the other men would. We're going to take them on some operations. I wanted to go upstairs and give Rosa her bracelet when Bad Boy's call came in. Hello boss, I'll be back tomorrow, but don't tell Rosa. Okay, I won't. Come on time because she misses you a lot. Okay, go and ask her if she's in need of anything so you'll order it for her. Okay boss. He hung up and I stood up and went upstairs. I knocked on her door but there was no answer. Rosa, it's me Leon. I knocked again and she didn't answer. I pushed the door a little and it opened. I gently entered. Rosa. Rosa, are you in here? The room was quiet. I walked towards the bathroom door and waited to hear any sound. Since there was none, I knocked. I kept knocking and then I pushed the door open. I looked through all the sections but didn't see Rosa. She might be by the poolside. I closed the door and went downstairs to the poolside. She wasn't there. I started to have feelings of worry. I asked the guards on duty and they said they last saw her entering the security guard's office. When did Rosa start visiting the security guard? Is it because of boredom? I went there and met only the guard. Where's Rosa? Guard, I haven't seen her today. My heart gave a thump sound as if it was thrown into a bucket of water. What do you mean by that? Guard, I haven't seen her today. What? She came into your office today. Did you leave here? My voice was becoming harsh and my eyes turned red. Guard, I've been here since morning. But I went to use the bathroom once. I glared at him and went outside. He followed me out too. I went back to the guards on duty. He says he hasn't seen her today. We saw her going there about an hour ago. My brows raised. What? An hour ago, and you didn't see her coming back? They shook their heads. The remaining ones shifted back to avoid my wrath. Why are you all so stupid? Didn't I order you to keep an eye on her? Do you know our heads are in danger if she's in trouble? Every one of you go round the house and find her. Now. They all dispersed and went to find Rosa. They too know how Bad Boy loves that girl. If she gets a scratch on our skin because of our carelessness, then we might be in the grave soon. Guard, I'm sure she's somewhere here. She wouldn't go out without telling you, and even if she did, I'm sure she'll come back. I hope we find her soon. Bad Boy is coming back tomorrow. I looked away with my hands on my waist. If by any chance Rosa was taken by Ron, then there's going to be trouble for me and for Ron. Kick, I told you that we could count on Biowum. By bringing a girl. Boss, don't you see this? She means a lot to him. If you touch her now, you touch his weak point. Ron, what makes you think she's that important to him? When we bombed that house, Bad Boy thought she was in it. He thought she died in it. Biowum told us that he was all moody and drunk throughout. She definitely is his weak point. Bring her to me. Let me see this girl that Bad Boy is in love with. I left and went to the room where she was tied up and blindfolded. She felt my presence and sat well. I grabbed her tied hands up and she groaned. Where are you taking me? Please let me go. Please, I'm begging you. She began to cry. Shut up. You're making so much noise. Or I'll kill you. She began to sulk and I grinned. I pushed her to the room where Ron was. She fell down and her elbow got bruised. Ron, untie her. I untied her eyes and hands and she looked up at Ron. Ron, such a pretty girl. A rare gem. He bent down and began to arrange her scattered hair. Bad Boy sure has good eyes. Ha ha. Ron brought his hand to touch her face. Don't touch me, she jerked off, and Ron laughed. If I want to touch you, will you be able to object? She kept quiet and looked down. Ron, I like your dress. You look beautiful in it. He lifted her face and she looked at him. "What's your name?" She didn't answer. I cocked my gun and looked at her. "Rosa." "Kick, take Rosa up to my room and lock her up. I'll be there soon." I nodded and grabbed her up and took her to Ron's room. Ron and I went upstairs about 10 minutes later. I opened my door and saw her sniffing and crying on her knees. I smirked and went to her. Angels don't cry. I wiped her tears and kissed her cheek. Her eyes widened and I tried to pull her up. Halfway up, she kicked me very hard in the balls and I groaned painfully and released her. She fell down but stood up almost immediately. She tried to run out but I threw a stool and it met her leg. She shouted and fell down, and as she was falling, her head hit the door and she passed out. I slowly and painfully sat on the bed. I took my phone and called Kick. "Bring me a camera. Let me teach this bitch a lesson." I paced around the living room not knowing what else to do. Rosa is not yet back and the sun has gone down. We checked the security cameras and she truly went outside and even took a taxi. Where the hell was I when all these were going on? What do I tell bad boy? And I don't have her number. Did she go and visit a friend? I sat down not knowing what else to ask myself. Just then bad boy called. My body began to shake. "Boss, where is Rosa?" My heart dropped. Is she upstairs? I've been calling her but she's not picking. Bad boy, Rosa is she's not. Did something happen to her? She's missing. Bad boy, she left the house without informing me and she's not back yet. Leon. How dare you let her go outside? What happened to the guards? What about the men? How could you all be so careless? Find Rosa or y'all will be dead. I hung up and angrily yelled. I threw my phone to the bed and punched the wall. Nothing should happen to my Rosa. I'll kill all of them if they dare it. I sat on my bed and took my phone. I called Max. One of the deadliest men I've got. "Max, my girl's been taken." "I know." "What? Who is he? Get him and make him talk." I hung up and took my documents and luggage. Then I went to the airport and took the next flight to Korea. "Leon, we just need to know who has her." I looked at his broken lips and swollen cheek. He looks pathetic. It's his fault we haven't heard anything from Rosa. When I arrived few hours ago, I couldn't control myself and I vented out my whole anger on him. If not for Max who stopped me, I would have killed him. "Max, where is your weapon man?" Leon, answer that. He's always upstairs in the weapon room. "Max, we need his assistance. Go and call him." One of the men went up to call him. "Max, bad boy, what's happening to you?" I looked up. "What do you mean?" "Max, the bad boy I know is mean and vicious. He's a terror who has no time for any other emotion apart from anger. But right now, the bad boy I'm seeing is trapped by a girl's disappearance. Tell me, have you found love in her?" My eyes reddened. "This isn't a matter of love. I don't have time for love." He laughed. "Max, let's just say, you don't know what love is. Or you would have known that you're in love with Rosa." I wanted to say something else but the guard came down and said the weapon man and his properties were gone. "Max, look for him and bring him back alive." I stood up and went to the window. Whosoever is with Rosa is trying my patience. My phone beeped and I checked it out. I opened my phone and saw 3 pictures. What the fuck? My fist tightened, my teeth gritted, my brows furrowed and I yelled out in anger. Ron just awakened the viper in me. Rosa. Ron tried to have sex with me but something happened that saved me. My period came up. He was so angry that he kicked my tummy so hard. Nevertheless, he still took pictures of me and gave it to Kick. I was almost naked and was badly injured. I begged Kick to give me my bag and he did. I was locked up again. I was so hungry and tired. I felt really bad for disobeying bad boy. I just hope they don't kill me. Bad boy, I have never been this angry in my life. Ron has gone too far. He went too far. Leon took the phone and saw the pictures too. He looked at me and looked at the phone again. I grabbed one of the guns on the table and made my way upstairs. I went to my room and took whatever it is that I could take. I went back downstairs and Leon gave me the phone. There was a message on it. Come and take your. I traced the location of the sender and nodded. I checked the time, it was few minutes after 5 a.m. Time runs fast. I took my keys and headed out. Rosa, early in the morning, I was carried to a van and it drove to the outskirts of the city. I was loosened and taken to a cliff. They ordered me to stand there or I'll be shot. I was so scared. I thought they were going to push me down. They all went and hid behind trees and rocks. I stood there for 10 minutes, then I saw a car driving very fast and creating a cloud of dust as it drove closer. I began to shiver and cry. Suddenly the car stopped and Bad Boy came out. All my fears vanished. Bad Boy. He saw me and tightened his fist. He looked so angry. He ran to me, but suddenly all the guards came out and all the guns were pointing at him. Ron came out. Bad Boy glared at him. He was just few inches away from me and Ron was behind him. Ron, truly the downfall of a man is a woman. Bad Boy, and the death of a man is where he touches another man's woman. Ron laughed and turned to go, then he stopped halfway. Ron, good luck going out of here alive. He left and each man cocked his gun. Bad Boy moved to me. I cried and hugged him. You got yourself into this mess, I'm so sorry. We disengaged and he looked at my bruised cheek. Enough. You're outnumbered. Surrender or die. He turned and faced the men. I held his hand. We can't defeat this whole men. Let's just surrender. Yeah, you're right. We can't defeat them all. But I can. He smirked and wore sunglasses. Suddenly, he threw something on the ground and it exploded. Everywhere turned white, I couldn't see a single thing. It was like very thick fog. It was stinging my eyes, so I closed them. The only thing I was hearing were bones breaking, people groaning, someone being kicked, gunshots and people falling. After peeping through my fingers to see if the fog would subside, I saw Bad Boy standing alone. I uncovered my eyes and saw the men on the ground. Some groaning in pain and some motionless. My eyes widened. How did he do it? He removed his glasses and walked back to me. I'm sorry, I forgot to give you a sunglass to cover your eyes after I exploded the smoke bomb. He laughed and my eyes widened even more. He carried me on his shoulder and took me to the car. Then he went back to a man who was groaning on the ground. Tell Ron that he has once again failed. But I won't let him go scot-free for laying his bloody hands on my girl. He stood up and walked back to the car, entered it and turned to me. Buckle up, girl, this is gonna be a bumpy ride. He started the car and took off in a very high speed that I felt like I was flying in the air.